Have you ever, looked at a massive family tree and realized you have absolutely no idea how to explain who your cousin's brother-in-law is in English?
Oh, it is such a linguistic minefield.
Right. It's like you know exactly who everyone is in your native language, but the moment you try to translate it, you are just completely lost in this web of vocabulary. Well, welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Teacher Paulo.
And I'm Teacher Reichel, and we are so thrilled to be guiding you through today's material.
We really are. But before we jump in, I want to take just a quick second right at the top to talk directly to you. Yes, you listening right now.
We see you, we really know exactly who you are.
Exactly. You are a hardworking Brazilian woman. You're balancing a career. Maybe you're, I don't know, making breakfast right now or commuting to work. And somehow you are still finding the time and energy to invest in your online studies.
It takes so much dedication. And we are so proud to be part of your routine. You are doing beautiful, empowering work.
Absolutely. So today is April 16th, 2026, and our mission today is to review the absolute goldmine of class notes from March 25th for group T262.
Yes, you are in the English Conversations course, and you are establishing yourself so solidly at the A2 CEFRL level. And, well, we have a lot of fantastic progress to cover today.
We do. And just a quick reminder for anyone maybe joining us for the first time, we proudly broadcast from AcademiaBSB Cursos Intelligentes.
That's right.
Our core mission is empowering adult women to conquer the English language through distance learning. We use our very own proprietary methodology, and all of these highly original digital materials are sitting right there on our dedicated online platform, just waiting for you to explore.
It's such a vibrant learning community. And, thinking about your journey with us, it actually brings to mind a quote from the brilliant author Bill Hooks.
Oh, I love her. What's the quote?
She wrote that language is a place of struggle, but it is also a place of immense power and connection.
Wow. That is so true.
Right. The struggle of learning a new language, especially with a super busy life, is very real. But the power and the connection you gain when you finally find your voice, that is just priceless.
Finding your power. I absolutely love that. So what exactly is on our roadmap for today?
Oh, we have a fantastic journey ahead.
Yeah, we are going to unpack a ton of really practical vocabulary, master the underlying mechanics of the possessive case and the present simple.
And we're going to do a deep, constructive critique of a wonderful student essay, like actually looking at the sentences.
Plus, we're going to check out your group's performance stats and, of course, award some highly anticipated gamification points.
It is a packed house. So let's just start by looking at how we build vocabulary.
Yeah, let's unpack this, because building your vocabulary is, honestly, it's a lot like organizing a beautiful, maybe slightly chaotic kitchen.
Oh, I love a good kitchen analogy.
Oh. Right. You have all these amazing ingredients, but you need to know exactly where everything is to cook up a great conversation. Like, if you can't find the salt or, the right word, the dish just doesn't work.
That is a wonderful way to put it. And looking at the current class notes from section 1.1, we have a very specific set of ingredients today. We started by identifying body parts.
Ah, yes. The verbatim list was jewelry, flower, forehead, chin, nose, shoulders, chest, breast, and arms.
But we didn't just stop at nouns, did we? We brought in a massive list of adjectives, and they were specifically organized in opposing pairs.
Yeah, let's look at a few of those. We have impulsive versus calm. Like, if someone is impulsive, they make sudden decisions without really thinking about the consequences.
Exactly. And the opposite is someone who is calm, someone who takes their time. We also had reliable versus selfish.
Right, because a reliable person is dependable. They show up when they say they will. You can count on them.
Yeah, and the opposite in this specific context is someone selfish, who maybe only considers their own needs and their own schedule.
We also looked at annoying versus pleasant, helpful versus unhelpful, and friendly versus hostile.
The list is quite extensive. Big versus small, old versus new, dirty versus clean, open versus closed.
Slow versus fast, tall versus short, organized versus messy.
Blonde versus brunette, noisy versus silent, peaceful versus violent, angry versus calm.
Hungry versus satisfied, intelligent versus unintelligent, and slim versus fat. It is a huge spectrum of descriptive power. But I have a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
Why do we teach these as pairs? Is it just to double the workload for the students?
Oh, not at all. There is a brilliant psychological reason for this. What's so fascinating here is that the human brain naturally categorizes information through contrast.
Oh, I see. We understand what light is because we know what dark is.
Exactly. So when you learn noisy right next to silent, You are creating a really powerful cognitive hook.
So it's basically about drawing boundaries around the meaning of a word.
You nailed it. By linking the new word to its direct opposite, your brain dramatically speeds up memory retention.
Wow, so if you temporarily forget the word for messy, but you remember its partner is organized, the shadow of the opposite kind of helps pull the correct word back into your working memory.
Precisely. It is a highly efficient way for adult learners at the A2 level to expand their lexicon.
That makes total sense. You aren't just learning isolated words, you're building a network of meanings. Okay, so now let's pull some ingredients from the past class vocabulary, section 1.2.
Yes, we tackled some really tricky verbs of cutting.
Oh, these are tough. Chop, mow, slice, and cut down.
Right. And there was a specific exercise proposed by the teacher that actually caused some funny confusion in the class.
I remember this. The sentence was, if you want to look organized, you should blank your hair. And the options were things like take care of, mow, slice, chop, and boil.
Yeah, and I know exactly why a student might get frustrated there.
I mean, I have to push back a little here. Why can't I mow a tomato or slice a lawn? They both involve a sharp blade cutting something. Like, how do we know which one to use?
It's all about understanding the nature of the tool and the physical motion of the action. English is very, very specific about the how of cutting.
Okay, let's use a really relatable analogy for our Brazilian listeners. Think about a classic Sunday churrasco, a Sunday barbecue.
Oh, making me hungry.
Right. When the meat comes off the grill, what do? You slice it.
Right. Slicing is a smooth, continuous drawing motion, usually with a long blade, to create a thin, elegant piece. You would never mow the meat.
Definitely not. Mow is exclusively used for leveling large areas of grass, right? Or crops. Usually with a heavy machine, it implies a broad, sweeping destruction of a surface layer.
Exactly. And chop? Well, that's a quick downward percussive strike. Think of an axe hitting wood or a heavy knife coming down quickly on an onion.
And cut down implies bringing something tall all the way to the ground, like a tree.
So returning to the exercise, if you want to look organized, you should blank your hair. You wouldn't slice it into thin pieces like picanha.
No, and you definitely wouldn't mow it with a lawnmower. You chop it. It implies a deliberate, shortening, neat cut.
The context and the physical imagery are everything here. And, just like you need the exact right tool to chop an onion versus slice a steak, you need the exact right grammatical tool to show who owns what.
Oh, perfect transition. Because if vocabulary words are the ingredients in our kitchen, grammar is the recipe that actually makes the meal understandable. Let's talk about the possessive case, the famous apostrophe S from Unit 73.
This is a crucial unit. The grammar rules here are elegantly simple once you see the pattern. For singular nouns like knife, pen, car, or baby, we just add an apostrophe and an S to show possession.
Like the examples in the notes, the dog's toy, the boy's guitar, the women's dresses, your father's computer.
We use it for places, right?
Like St. Paul's Cathedral or Louis Linguini's restaurant.
We do. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to address the most common mistake Brazilian students make with this.
Oh, the classic direct translation trap.
Yes, because in Portuguese, the structure of possession is very different.
Right. In Portuguese, you use the structure noun plus of plus noun. You say, o brinquedo do cachorro. So naturally, an English learner's first instinct is to translate that literally to the toy of the dog.
Right. And while the toy of the dog is technically understandable, I mean, people will know what you mean, it sounds incredibly unnatural and clunky to a native speaker.
It really does. English language absolutely loves efficiency, doesn't it?
It does. The apostrophe S is a linguistic shortcut. Why use 4 words, the toy of the dog, when you can just attach an S to the owner, the dog's toy?
It puts the owner first.
Exactly. It emphasizes who the object belongs to right away, and it gets the information across faster.
It's linguistic streamlining. I love it. Now, moving to Units 7 and 8, we reviewed the present simple, focusing heavily on weekend habits and routines.
Yes, we saw some great affirmative sentences in the notes, like, I wash my clothes on Saturday mornings.
And negative ones, too, right? Hannah doesn't study on Saturday evenings. Plus interrogative. Does your dad have a lie-in at the weekend?
We also looked at the story of Leanne from the exercises. Let's quickly analyze her routine. She doesn't like school, she doesn't get up early, she goes downstairs, and stays in on Sundays.
Okay, I have to admit some confusion here on behalf of our learners. Normally, adding an S to a word in English makes it plural. 1 car or 2 cars.
Why?
So why in the world do we add an S to a verb when we are talking about just one single person? I go, but she goes. It feels kind of counterintuitive.
That is such a brilliant observation, and honestly, it trips up so many learners. You have to separate nouns from verbs in your mind.
Okay.
For nouns, S means plural. But for verbs in the present simple, the S or ES is a special marker exclusively for the third person singular, so that's he, she, or it.
Oh, I see.
It's basically an old historical leftover in the language that acts as a little flag, signaling, hey, we are talking about one specific other person right now.
Ah, okay. I do, but she stays.
Okay, but then we have the auxiliary verbs, do and does. And I know these can feel like invisible ghosts in this sentence to a Portuguese speaker. Oh, totally. Because Portuguese doesn't use auxiliary verbs to ask simple questions.
Exactly. So why do we need them to ask a question or say no in English?
Well, think of English verbs, except for the mighty verb to be, as a bit fragile. They carry the meaning of the action, but they aren't strong enough to make a negative sentence or a question all by themselves.
They need some help.
Exactly. They need a helper, an auxiliary. So do and does step in to carry the heavy lifting of the not, or to flip around to make the question mark.
And because does already carries that third-person S flag you mentioned, the main verb doesn't need it anymore.
You got it. The helper takes the weight. That's why we never, ever say, does she stays. The does already has the S, so the main verb just relaxes back to its base form. Does she stay? It's mathematically precise.
Fragile verbs needing a helper. I love that imagery. Well, we've covered a lot of ground already, so we are going to take a really quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
See you in a minute. Commercial break.
Welcome back. Okay, so during the break, I was just thinking about this massive family reunion I went to a few years ago.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I was hopelessly confused trying to figure out who was whose cousin or brother-in-law or half-uncle. It was chaos.
I feel like we've all been there.
Right. And it perfectly sets the theme for this next segment. But real quick, just to recap where we are. In the first half, we organized our vocabulary kitchen. We mastered body parts and opposing adjectives. We figured out the physical difference between chopping and slicing. And we locked down the grammar rules for the possessive apostrophe S and the present simple.
Phew. That is a lot of great work.
It is. So taking all of those vocabulary ingredients and that grammatical recipe, let's look at what one of our students actually cooked up in our writing assignment.
Yes. The purpose of today's writing exercise in Section 7 was to map out and describe a genealogical tree, specifically the Harris family.
Right. So we have Michael and Emily, their kids, Lucas, Sophie, and Lily, and their pets, Bubbles the fish, and Spike the lizard.
And we are going to do a deep, really caring critique of a specific student's essay today. Sandra Adeshara, you were in the spotlight.
Sandra, we're so proud of you. We want to look at exactly what Sandra did because her learning process is everyone's learning process. Let's look at the concept of her first draft.
Sandra did a wonderful job laying out the basic structure and getting her ideas on the page. In her first draft, she wrote sentences like, the family Harris is big. Michael is the father of Lucas. The fish of Lucas is Bubbles. The brother of Emily is John. John is the uncle of Lucas.
Okay, you can see exactly what is happening there. She has the vocabulary perfectly correct, but she is relying heavily on that Portuguese structure we talked about, the fish of Lucas. So you provided some enhancement insights for the second draft.
I did. My feedback really focused on smoothing out those direct translations and applying the apostrophe S we just learned, as well as making sure the vocabulary for extended family like uncles, aunts, nephews, and nieces was utilized efficiently.
But let me ask you this. You know, sometimes when a student gets their first draft back and it is just covered in red marks and corrections, it can feel so discouraging.
Oh, completely. It feels like a failure.
Yeah. How should a student process that without losing motivation?
That is such an important question. I really want you listening right now to really hear this. Corrections are not criticisms of your intelligence. They are just stepping stones.
I love that.
Think back to our kitchen analogy. Your first draft is like throwing all your raw ingredients into the pan. It smells great, you're cooking, but, it's a bit messy.
Right.
The teacher's corrections are just the process of plating the dish so it looks as beautiful as it tastes. The fact that you have corrections means you produce something complex enough to actually need refining. That is a massive victory.
Plating the dish. That is such a beautiful way to look at it. And because Sandra was so brave and she worked so hard applying those stepping stones, we ended up with a beautiful, polished, final version.
We really did.
Instead of the family Harris, it became the Harris family. Let me read a little bit of her final masterpiece. The Harris family is quite large. Michael is Lucas's father, and Emily is his mother. Lucas's fish is named Bubbles, and Sophie's lizard is Spike. Emily's brother is John, making him a wonderful uncle to his nephews and nieces.
It flows so beautifully. It is a fantastic piece of writing describing an intricate web of family relations.
It really is.
And I am so thrilled to announce that, with Sandra's consent, this final version is going to be published on the school's blog. You can find it at students.AcademiaBSB.com.br/blog.
Wow. She completely earned her Estrelline Haas for that hard work, which actually transitions us perfectly from Sandra's individual triumph to how beautifully the entire T262 group is performing together.
Oh, they're performing incredibly well as a unit. Looking at the class stats, every single one of you is perfectly on the right path to hitting that coveted B1 CEFRL level.
That's a big milestone. Let's look at the numbers from the notes because they are so encouraging.
Let's hear them.
The group hit 45 words of vocabulary growth just in this session.
That's amazing.
You now have a comprehensive lexicon repertory of 312 words. And my absolute favorite statistic, an amazing 53 minutes of oral fluency and speech engagement.
That 53 minutes is the real metric of success because, it means you aren't just passively memorizing grammar rules from a screen. You are actually speaking.
Yes.
You're using the language in real time, taking risks, and making the words your own.
And the pronunciation improvements are undeniable. When we compared the errors from the past class to the current class, you tackled two massive physical hurdles.
We sure did. First, distinguishing between Jim and Jen.
Oh, this is a physical workout for your mouth.
It really is. The difference between those two words is entirely in where the sound stops. For Jim, with an M, your lips have to physically close together to make the sound. Exactly. But for Jen, with an N, your lips stay open and your tongue touches the roof of your mouth just behind your teeth. Jen.
Jen. Wow. It's a tiny physical difference, but a huge meaning difference. And the second hurdle was distinguishing they versus they.
Getting that tongue between the teeth for the English TH sound, instead of just tapping the teeth for a D.
It feels strange at first, right?
Very strange for Portuguese speakers.
Yeah.
But you are all mastering it. Because of that hard work, the class's phonetic deviation ratio dropped by an incredible 10%.
Yeah.
That is a huge leap forward in clarity.
It absolutely is. And just to give you a clear, organized bibliographic overview so you know exactly where to focus your study time this week, review Unit 73 for the possessive case and Units 7 and 8 for the present simple forms.
Which leads us perfectly to what is coming up next. What is on the horizon for our linguistic scope?
Well, we are going to delve even deeper into the apostrophe S because there is always more to explore there. We'll also move on to Unit 77, which covers comparatives too.
Oh, that's a good one.
And we are going to learn directions, specifically how to tell someone how to get to a specific place.
Okay, I have a tantalizing question for you to mull over before the next class, a little cliffhanger.
Ooh, let's hear it.
How do you give directions to a place that belongs to someone else while comparing it to a different location? For example, is Sarah's house further than the baker's?
Oh my goodness, that combines absolutely everything. The possessive, the comparative, and spatial reasoning.
Yep. We will unpack exactly how to navigate that exact sentence structure in the next class.
I can't wait to dive into that. But now it is time to shift gears. It is time for a highly energetic, sporty interval.
Yes. For those maybe newer to Academia BSB, we have a unique and incredibly fun reward system. You earn point stars or Estrellinhas for every single activity you complete.
Whether you are participating in class, doing extra reading out of class, or completing your homework, your effort is tracked.
Exactly. These points are tied directly to your user profile on our online platform, and they help you climb that highly competitive student leaderboard. It is all about celebrating your consistency.
So, drumroll please, it is time to announce the Estrelas Ganhas Hoje.
Tell us, what is the grand total today?
18 Estrelas Ganhas Hoje. Let's hear it for the group.
Ooh.
Congratulations to everyone who put in the work, did the exercises, and showed up for themselves today. You are absolutely crushing it.
18 stars is a fantastic achievement. It reflects real, genuine dedication to the process.
It really does. Well, as we start to wind down today, let's bring the energy to a nice, cozy, inspiring close.
I like the sound of that.
Phantom trees, right? Describing uncles, aunts, figuring out who belongs to who with our new possessive grammar. And it actually made me think of one of the greatest novels ever written in international English literature. Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, published in 1813.
Oh, what a brilliant connection. Why that book in particular for today's lesson?
Well, because at its core, Pride and Prejudice is a masterclass in navigating incredibly complex family dynamics.
Hmm.
Austen wrote about a society where polite, sharp communication was literally a matter of survival. The characters had to know exactly how to speak to their relations, how to assert themselves respectfully but firmly, and how to clearly define their relationships. And isn't that exactly what you are doing right now?
It is.
Hmm.
By learning these family terms, mastering these adjectives, and structuring this grammar, you are finding your voice in a new language.
Exactly. You are learning how to navigate the world, tell your own story, and assert your place in it. Language gives you the tools to express exactly who you are, no matter what room you walk into.
That is a beautiful sentiment.
And that thought perfectly captures the spirit of what we do here. It brings us to the grand official motto of Academia BSB. Say it with me.
It's not only about the language, it's all about communication.
Thank you so much for letting us be part of your day. Keep up the amazing work, ladies.
We will see you in the next deep dive.
But until then, I leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you find yourself trying to describe someone, whether it's a relative or a friend, don't just reach for the first adjective that comes to mind. Think of its opposite. Ask yourself, what am I really trying to communicate? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shining.